name's Genevieve Scatoni, I'm GELEXAIDA, and today we're going to be talking about my journey becoming a private pilot. God knows, it was quite the journey. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to share my story for other people who might also be struggling and aren't going through the traditional route where it's taking them 40 hours, they do the requirements, and then they get their license. No, this is for the people who are honestly working their ass off and are feeling so discouraged and are wondering if they're ever even gonna get their license. This is for you guys. So a little bit of background on my interest in aviation. My dad's a pilot, so I always grew up with flying in my life. I never realized it wasn't something a lot of people got the chance to do until I was a little bit older. But what was special about my dad is the fact that it's not his day job. He just flies for fun. He flies because it's a genuine passion of his. What's cool about the flying that my dad does is he finds a place he wants to go and he goes there. He doesn't just fly locally or to gain money. Every year, me and my family would go on vacations to different parts across the country. And we would just fly a Cessna 172 to these places. My entire life, all I knew was general aviation, flying in smaller aircrafts. I don't think I flew commercially for the first time until I was maybe 10 or so. Growing up, you know, in my teenage years, I wanted to do everything I could to fit in. When I was around 12, I completely just started distancing myself from the idea of flying as a whole. Bless my dad's heart. He always wanted either me or my sister to be a pilot, but we always were like,
no, we're not gonna fly planes, we don't care, fuck that.
I remember telling him, I was like,
I would crash the plane, I would kill everybody on board, like that is not something I could do. It is not possible. Oh my god!
I loved flying so much. So I remember being 12 and thinking, I'm just gonna marry a pilot one day so that I can continue to do trips like this. Little did I know, I would be the pilot one day. If a thought ever crosses your mind where you're like, I want to marry a man that does this so that I can do this, instead of saying, I want to marry a man that does this, say, I want to become a woman that does this so I can do this. Be the man you want to marry, but with boobs and a vagina. Anyways, but aside from that, when I was 12, I didn't understand that flying was cool. I remember I got the chance to fly to Alaska with my dad, and we took a trip, left from Wisconsin and flew to Alaska in a 172. Such a cool trip, right? Such a cool trip, right? You know what the fuck I did? As a 12-year-old insecure little bitch, I fucking had my headsets off most of the time. I put in my iPod Touch headphones, listened to music, pulled out my whatever those fucking magazines were that were popular at the time. That's what I was reading. Not present in the moment. I genuinely thought I was cool doing that. Like,
bitch!
You're going to Alaska! That's what's cool! That is what's cool! You fucking idiots!
And I know now you're probably like,
that's the dumbest thing, why would you think that?
I was 12 at the time, okay? I genuinely I didn't understand. Thankfully, that phase was just a phase because when I was 13, my dad asked if I wanted to go on a daddy-daughter flight with him. So me and my dad, we took a flight to Watertown, Wisconsin, and on the flight back home, he asked if I wanted to take the controls. Although I was really fucking hesitant at first, I did do it. I just did straight and level flight for the most part. I kind of just, you know, held a heading and an altitude. But I just remember feeling something inside of me that I'd never felt before. Honestly, it was just this feeling of freedom. And I just knew when I landed that I had to feel it again. After me and my dad secured the airplane and returned the keys, but I remember walking back to his car and like looking up at him and being like, Dad, I want to be a pilot. And my dad was like, okay, yeah. And a week later, I had my first lesson. 2014, I was 13, baby. I didn't realize how much confidence flying a plane would give me. I never felt like a badass before, but I felt like a badass now. Fuck y'all popular folks! I just wanted to take a moment to fully appreciate my dad because Literally none of this would be possible without him. Started my training when I was 13. I trained at this place from 13 to 15. At the time I started, it wasn't bad. I had an amazing instructor for those years. I am so grateful that he worked there at the time that I was training. When I first started, things were going well. For people that aren't aware, you have to be 16 to fly solo for the first time, and you have to be 17 to actually get your license. So I got to really craft my skills. But because I was so young, and I didn't really prioritize it in my life, I never studied. If there's one thing I would have changed during that period of time, I would have studied more. I had all of this time to not only retain this knowledge, but fully come to understand. People say it all the time, flying a plane is easy. That's the easy part of flying. It's all this extra stuff, knowledge-wise, that makes someone a great pilot. I stopped training around 15 because the place I was at honestly turned to shit. I mean, their program was constantly changing. They were always wanting me to start from the beginning. And at some point, their entire thing changed to just simulator flying for the course of your entire training, basically. They were scamming people of money. They had terrible instructors at one point, and it was not good. So after 6 months to a year of watching this club completely fall apart, we left. And I didn't go straight into flying somewhere else again. Me and my dad, we both agreed that I would pass my written exam first. I stopped training in 2016, and I didn't have a flight lesson again until 2019. And in that time, I just was on and off studying, trying to pass my written exam. There's a lot of setbacks I had during my training that was frustrating. This was one of the most frustrating things for me because I felt so discouraged. When I first started taking tests, I was failing with 40%. I couldn't seem to get over 60. And I was so mad at myself. I was like, I've been training for how many years? I have how many hours? I felt like I wasted it. And the thing is, I know now, like thinking back at it now, I didn't waste it. That's a lot of hours. I literally got to time build, but studied on and off, maybe every other couple months. And then I'd get super discouraged and then I'd just temporarily give up. I never wanted to give up, but I did lack motivation for a long, long time. I wasn't even sure if I was capable of gaining the knowledge of being a pilot. I ended up getting an 82 in the end. For me, if anything, that just shows the growth that I had. By the time that I finally passed my written exam, my dad actually got his CFI and CFII ratings. So, of course, with that, added the new possibility of him being my instructor. After looking at the different options, I was gonna continue my training with him. But that kind of proved to be harder than initially expected because our schedules never really aligned up.
But then I came across more setbacks.
COVID-19 hit. Then the plane I was training in went down for maintenance.
And then
July, I finally soloed. A lot of you guys have seen that video. I filmed it because I knew that it was gonna be something I wanted to remember forever, and I wanted to share it because watching others was something that always motivated me. And I was on this track again. I was on a track and I could see the fucking light. And then we lost access to the airplane. At this point, I was like, honestly, I don't care what we do next. But whatever the next move is, has to be the last because I am done. So we kind of looked to see if there was any accelerated programs. I had over 90 hours. I was post solo. I called a couple places, but fly around Alaska, talked to her back and forth all day Monday. By the end of the day, I was like, and booked to the plane ticket. 2 weeks later, I was in Alaska. And then I passed. I had my private pilot's license. I remember stressing so much about the exam. Something I wish I knew was that you genuinely don't have to be perfect. The coolest part about my exam was there was a rainbow that was following us the entire flight. And when I was doing my final landings, it turned into a double rainbow. My examiner pulled out his phone and he started taking pictures of it, and he took a video of me, doing my last landing. At the end, he was like, I've never taken a picture of anyone before, but I just had to because it was just so special. And I was like, I'm really surprised I didn't cry when he told me I was a private pilot. So that's my story, my really long story, my very dreadful story. It's hard to talk about the entire story. There's so much little details about my journey that I couldn't mention in here just because we would literally be sitting here for hours. If you take anything away from this, I want it to be courage. You are capable. Even if you're not at the level that you want to be, it's possible to get to the level that you want to be. It just takes a lot of fucking work. I got my license with like 120 hours of flight time. 6 years of trying to get it. So just because your journey isn't following the typical path doesn't mean that it's wrong. Anyways, subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch more content from me. Follow all the rest of my social media, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitter, my Snapchat. Do not friend request my Facebook account. But if you want to follow my Facebook page, you can do that. Listen to my debut EP and my latest single that I produced myself. Yeah. I think that's it. That's it. I've been filming for like 2 hours. But yeah, okay. I love you guys so much. Bye! Oh my god, am I done? How do I end this? Am I actually done? Safe flying! Happy skies! Happy fly! Happy blue skies! Safe flights! Happy... Bye!